Welcome to The Lock Shop with Nielson and Hustler, powered by Coolbet Canada.
What's going on, everybody? Welcome to The Lock Shop, 11:03 here in Edmonton on Edmonton Sports Talk. If you are listening on TuneIn or on iHeart or at edmontonsportstalk.com, no, you can text us anyway on 780-218-9999, 780-218-9999. Very entertaining hangout today with Fraser in the house. Always nice to have Will Fraser. As he said when he walked in, Daddy's here. And he was here to talk everybody down today, so that was great. If you're watching over on YouTube, you can slide on in. And Huss is off to Vegas. Huss is off to Vegas today, so Pete Gregoire is here for the ride. Patty, what's up, buddy?
Not too much. I'd much rather be heading to Vegas like Huss is.
Yeah, no doubt, eh? Tough life.
That would be all right. Tough life indeed. What a turnaround, though. I know hockey's a touchy subject around these places, but that's quite the turnaround. The fact that we just crowned a Stanley Cup champion and then boom, right away, all these GMs are heading over to Vegas, which I'm sure they're not too upset about. But like the draft is this week. Like how is this happening? We're getting signings and trades and things are unfolding. I barely digested the 24 season and we're already on to 24-25.
It got stretched out way too long. Like I don't think I don't know why they waited the 8 days to start the Stanley Cup Final, the 6 days or whatever it was. Like that never used to be the case. It was like, okay, these two series are done. Let's get rolling right now, because it is ridiculous that we're sitting here the day after the Stanley Cup Final. The draft is on Friday. The awards are in 2 days. The Panthers are going to have to jam their Stanley Cup parade in on Wednesday, I'm guessing. And then free agencies less than a week away now. Like these teams have to completely revamp things. So, it's great from a content creator perspective. It's great for us because there's no downtime. It's just like, boom. Okay. Who do they bring back? It is a little bit ridiculous. I mean, it might be different, I guess, for teams who didn't make the playoffs and have been sitting around for 2.5 months, but it just seems like it's like the NBA season starts later and ends earlier. I mean, just speed it up a little bit here. I would think.
I totally agree. And you mentioned the competitive advantage that the teams that were eliminated, that don't make the playoffs, that don't go as deep as these other two teams. Like, obviously, if you're trying to pick up the phone and figure out a deal, let's say to get an expiring contract like an RFA before they hit the market or a UFA before they hit the market, you're good luck trying to get on the horn with one of those two teams that were competing last night. God forbid the Oilers, like whoever's going to be GM, like it's just, for me, it's way too quick of a turnaround. Again, you'll always have these disadvantages of the teams that go on longer. Yeah, they're not drafting as higher, but as Huss has mentioned quite a bit, it's not just the draft, and it's unfortunate that this is going to be the last in-person draft. Everything's going to be centralized. Yeah, one of the great things about the NHL draft is that everyone is there. Everyone's in person. Everyone's going. You can instead of picking up a phone and talking to someone, you can literally go walk over to their table and say, all right, let's get a deal done. Shoot a quick text. Let's meet up here. The access is unbelievable. And from a media standpoint, all the media are there. It's a time to get together, easy to have in-person interviews with players. And so it is unfortunate that the last time we're going to be experiencing this, is this week. But then again, the NFL draft, the NBA draft, it's still centralized, but the media still gets together. But what a way to close out this era by being inside the Sphere in Vegas. So
I would like to be there to see
what's going on.
Yeah, I'd like to be there to see the setup. Haven't been in the Sphere once now. You can see the space down on the floor. It'll be a cool experience. I hate the fact that they're removing the draft floor, and centralizing things, because I covered my first draft for hockeysfuture.com in like 2006. And just growing up a huge hockey fan and a massive, massive draft nerd, it was like dying and going to heaven. Being there in like the second row of the risers, just looking at the draft floor. It was absolutely surreal. And then I think I covered like 10 or 11 drafts. And every single time, it's just like, It was so awesome. I hate the fact that they're changing that up. I mean, that's tough. But we'll catch up with Huss. He'll be there tomorrow. He's traveling down to Vegas today. We've got lots to get to, obviously, in the lock shop today. Take a look at some soccer promos that you guys are pushing out as well. We do have to dive into the hockey game last night. Obviously, we had a lot of takes from our market earlier today on the show. For somebody out of Toronto watching that game last night, did it look to you like the Oilers kind of just ran out of gas after giving everything they had to get back? Or do you think the Panthers at home get the first goal, give one up right away? So I don't know how much I buy into that theory, but the Florida Panthers just put together a game with their backs against the wall that we hadn't seen over the last 10 days.
I felt like I was watching a Toronto Maple Leaf game because the superstars didn't show up in a big moment. No, I'm just kidding.
No, but it's true. I mean, if any of those guys produced any offense last night, the Oilers win the Stanley Cup, but they didn't.
Yeah, and you talk about bad takes. Boy, oh boy, I was pulling my hair out this morning listening to your program with some of the takes blaming Stuart Skinner. Like, give me a break. The guy let in 2 goals. What are we talking about here? This is not on the goaltender. This is on the big guys. And yeah, we're probably going to find out that McDavid was banged up and Draisaitl was banged up. Maybe Hyman, something's going on with him. I mean, the fact of the matter is you simply can't have your big guys in these big moments not show up. Connor McDavid, sure, he won the Conn Smythe trophy, and it's one of the most impressive playoff runs that we have ever seen. But in Game 6 and Game 7, 0 points. Leon Draisaitl didn't have a freaking shot on net.
I know.
Like, it just can't happen. And I don't want to say they didn't show up because the effort was there. You could see McDavid obviously just absolutely heartbroken. I just think Florida did a really good job of finding a way to neutralize those guys, really play physical, take away the middle of the ice, which is the lifeblood of the Edmonton Oilers, scoring off the rush. They just made life really, really difficult. And I think Bobrovsky was back to at least somewhat of the goaltender that we saw in the first 3 games. Mind you, he wasn't, a world beater or anything.
Yeah, but he wasn't leaky last night, right? He got everything he needed to get.
Exactly. So you put that all together, and yeah, I'm sure a little bit goes into it that the Oilers, it's hard to beat a team 4 games in a row. It's really tough. These coaches are so damn good. And it also doesn't help that, the officials pretty much swallow the referees or swallow the whistles.
Yeah, they weren't going to call anything last night. Like
it had to be like, direct getting rid of a scoring opportunity or like second degree murder. That was the only way those refs were whipping out their whistles. And you kind of expect that in a Stanley Cup final. You expect that in Game 7, and when you don't generate enough 5-on-5, you got to find a way. And I think you said it, like not scoring on the lone power play was a killer. And the lack of urgency on the 6-on-5 when they pulled their goalie.
Yeah, they had nothing.
Probably, and I feel for Knobloch because he was kind of handcuffed. Probably should have pulled earlier. And then it got to a point where, okay, well, now McDavid and Draisaitl's line's been out forever. We can't pull the goalie when Fogel's on the ice now. So we got to wait for a whistle. They didn't get a whistle. And now they pull their goalie with just under a minute. They get that timeout, and it's like, okay, shoot, like now we're running out of time. That's something that I think probably could have got done earlier. But again, there were reasons why he didn't pull his goalie at that time. But even if they did, like there was no sense of urgency. They had a hard time even just having a zone entry.
Yeah.
At that one point.
Yeah, they couldn't get it in.
They could not get in, and by the time they did, it was like, yeah, it was really bizarre. With that being said, a valiant effort coming back to even make this thing a series. This team, you could see by the odds, plus 700 to win the Stanley Cup. They should be back next year. They can learn from it. They're probably going to try to improve this roster in other ways that they can. It's on the flip side, you can't take this for granted. You got to know how difficult it is to get back there. Look at Colorado; they haven't been able to get back there. This is if McDavid. I know he's going to get them back there. It's just how soon, how quickly, because it is in this sport, in this league, it is so damn tough, not just to win a Stanley Cup, but to get back. And we saw Florida do it back to back. The fact, I think this is just a tip of the cap to Florida by saying like, okay, you're the champs until you get dethroned. You couldn't pay me to pay the Florida Panthers plus 650.
No way.
The Stanley Cup. I wouldn't even pay plus 650 for them to win the East. They're a great team. They obviously have some roster spots that they're going to have to fill due to free agency, as we always see with Stanley Cup winning teams. But I mean, it's just so damn tough to get back there, Dusty.
Yeah, I don't, like I said this morning, let's take a look at it. We did dive into these a little bit this morning on the Nielsen show, but if you go to coolbet.com right now, if you click on the left, it says NHL draft, you get in there, you'll get the draft odds, and then you get NHL season bets 2024, 2025. And I went through the top 10 teams earlier today. The Florida Panthers are plus 650 favorites coming off of winning Stanley Cup. The Edmonton Oilers are second at 7-1. Then you get Dallas at 9-1. The Rangers at 11-1. The Hurricanes at 12-1. The Avs at 13-1. The Leafs and Golden Knights at 18-1. The Devils at 19-1. And the Canucks at 20-1, and then you get the Kings plus 2,200, Bruins 2,200, Jets are 25-1, Tampa 28-1, and then it drops down again to Detroit and everybody else. I would think by the time the puck drops on the regular season, the Edmonton Oilers are undoubtedly the betting favorite, at least over a Coolbet with the presence that we have here in Edmonton.
Yeah, it's certainly the case. I mean, you saw in plain sight yesterday the line move for that game. It was completely shifted the other way. I think I checked about an hour before puck drop, 70 or 60, I think it was 68% of the money was on the Oilers to win. And I imagine this thing will probably get bet down. The thing is, obviously, big presence in Finland as well. Barkov is their guy. So I'm sure some folks over in Finland might bet the Panthers to run it back. But I could see the Oilers certainly being the odds-on favorite, not even before puck drop, probably unless there's some sort of crazy movement that we see in free agency and a team really loads up and they look like they're going to go on a run. I think it's probably going to be the Oilers. Panthers probably not too far behind. We know how much the book loves Carolina.
They're all the time, right?
Like, I feel like I'm taking crazy pills here that the fact that they're still within the top six. Yeah, it's really interesting. I'm not one to really bet the futures market until about like a month to maybe like 2 weeks out. Like, I really like
you're a mid-September futures guy. Like,
yeah, because you just don't know. A guy could get hurt in training camp, dispute with contracts, and a guy gets shipped out. You just never know unless there's a number that you really like. Like, let's say, for example, you look down the board and a team like the Winnipeg Jets, you think you're not going to get a better number for them at 25-1, and you're convinced that that's the best number you're going to get. For sure, go for it. But when it comes to these favorites, we saw it, Edmonton up and down. Like, if the Edmonton Oilers won the Stanley Cup yesterday, I don't know if I was coming on the program today because I don't know if I would have had a job. Because
I'm glad you brought that up, because I was going to say, I was going to say, like, you guys would have been taken to the cleaners if the Oilers won last night.
Oh, we would have been on the money line. It would have been outrights for the fact that, again, when we talked about at the start of the year, when you guys were on the losing streak at the start of the year and the price dropped down, and just rebetting at the start of the playoffs, a lot of people jumped on it. Connor McDavid wins the Conn Smythe. So we took a little bit of a bath there, but I think we recuperate a lot. Just the fact that, Oilers don't win the Stanley Cup. Like, the fact of the matter is, a lot of people, when they were down 3-0, had the belief, believe it or not, and we're jumping on the value there. So we dodged an absolute bullet with the Oilers not to win. But as I said, there's a damn good chance they'll be back. We know for a fact that plus 700 number is going to be bet time and time again. And it's probably going to be smaller. We're going to have the most risk on the Oilers. And when props come out, we're going to have the most risk on those as well. It's a good problem to have. We know the fine folks in Edmonton love Coolbet, and we love to have them as well.
Somebody texted in today when I was talking about these futures, and they said, Dusty, do you think we should bet the Oilers now at 7-1 because it's the best number that we're going to get? Do you think that 7-1? I mean, it probably is going to be the best number that they're going to get. I don't see a reason, unless they something of significance happens trade-wise, like you said, and why you wait on futures. But like, I don't see this number moving in the other direction at any point in the offseason.
No, not in the offseason. Maybe once the puck drops. Like, I think if you're looking to bet a team like Florida, again, I wouldn't, but Florida, Edmonton, Dallas, and probably the Rangers are 3 teams. Maybe you could throw Colorado in there, depending on what they do in free agency. But when it comes to Edmonton, I think that number gets down to 650 at some point, for sure, with just the money that's going to come in. Maybe even gets down to plus 600. Before puck drop, it's not getting up to 750. There's just no way, unless there is some sort of massive trade involving the Rangers or the Stars or Hurricanes or maybe even the Avalanche. If there is some monumental deal that shifts the entire ecosystem of the NHL basically, then yeah, if not, 700 is your best bet right now until the puck drops, the season starts. If the Oilers look a little sluggish and injury happens, knock on wood, something like that, then you're probably going to get a better number, but not before opening night. No way.
Did you, it seemed like it had kind of been decided after back-to-back 4-point games. I was still a little surprised that, let's see the votes. It was almost unanimous. There was one vote for Bobrovsky. Every other vote was Barkov or McDavid in the top 2. I thought there might be a case, considering he didn't get a point in Game 6 or Game 7, that Bobrovsky could possibly end up winning the Conn Smythe. And obviously all the voters had Barkov as the more valuable player to the Florida Panthers because he had almost every single second-place vote as well. Were you surprised at all that McDavid did end up getting the Conn Smythe?
Part of me says
it is
yes,
playoff
part of me
MVP, right? It's playoff MVP, so
I think people forget that. I think people do forget that it is the playoff MVP. It's not the NBA Finals MVP. And when you look at the full body of work, yeah, it was impressive what we saw. Yes, he was held off the score sheet in Game 6 and Game 7. That's kind of where I thought, okay, maybe some votes shift the other way. It almost seems like after Game 5, though, those voters decided, they put it in pen and they weren't going to change it. There's just no way they were ever going to change their votes. I think the fact of the matter is that Bobrovsky was so bad during that stretch of those 3 games where Edmonton flipped the series on their heads, that changed things. Barkov was really solid. I think you could definitely make a case for Barkov to win, but there wasn't someone on Florida that, you really said, wow, like they were outstanding. Like collectively as a group, yeah, it was remarkable to see. I think Barkov definitely deserved his 1 vote. I think that's maybe where I would have put my vote, just because, I mean, he was outstanding and he's the leader of that team. And they ended up, basically, preventing one of the greatest comebacks from happening. I mean, when you look at it, like I don't think there was more pressure on either team because both teams, it's do or die. But I do think that, with Florida scoring first, I was like, oh, okay, here we go. But the Oilers scored right away. Like that is like, that's where I think that debate of like first goal matters is so much. Oilers score right away, and like the seed could start being planted once again in Florida's mind, saying,
"Well, that almost hurts. That almost hurts more. Right? Like you get the first goal, and then the Oilers eliminate it right away. You're like, damn it! I thought we were, it was gonna. So the whole first goal conversation is very interesting to me too. I agree.
Yeah. So I mean, but again, I mean, you could look by the odds before puck drop. I know Coolbet didn't open up the odds again, but before puck drop, some of the other bigger books down in the States had it at like minus 5,000 for him to win. And, obviously there's a lot of connected folks when it comes to the media and some of these books, like inside sources and whatnot. So maybe there was a word out there that the fact was that there was going to be a lot of votes for McDavid, or maybe the fact of the matter is that the media knows this is a generational talent. Look how good he was. Pretty much someone from Florida is going to have to go nuclear, and the chances of that happening are slim to none. And that's why they had them there. So it's interesting. The whole debate of him not coming out for the trophy. Like I heard you today say, like, there's a good chance he was probably addressing the team when that happened. I don't really think like, oh, he's a poor sport.
It would have been slightly awkward, man. Like that would have been a little strange.
I mean, J.S. Jaguar did it, but like, I don't know. Would I have liked to see him come out? I mean, his dad would have. He had the phone ready to roll and was excited to go. But I don't know. I don't really take into it. And I do honestly think that whether it was Knobloch, McDavid, one of the veterans in the locker room, probably were addressing it. And what's he going to do? Stop or leave the room? He wants to be with his teammates. He wants to be in that room. Like, as much as that being in that locker room would friggin' suck at that moment, he's not going to go out and get his.
As a captain and the leader, you got to be with your team in that moment. It's as simple as that. Like,
and I think if he storms off the ice and you don't see him to the very end, waiting for every single one of his teammates to, not just pat him on the bum and say like, good season. Like, he was pulling guys aside, saying, like, having long in-depth conversations close and letting them go through. Like, you could see the camera kept panning to him. So the fact that he wasn't so outraged and it was just like heat of the moment, like, he obviously was being a leader in that moment and was taking those steps to have personable moments with his teammates before they got off. That leads me to believe he would have had enough critical thinking to be like, he's like, I'm not going out there. It was more or less like, we're dealing with our own team stuff here. That is what it is, right? So I don't read into too much of that.
I mean, he can always get a picture with the next Conn Smythe he wins. So he's got that going for himself as well. Hey, I do want to ask. I asked this, and I know other times be like, don't talk about the Leafs. But I am curious, as a Leafs guy, what do you think of the Leafs at 18-1? Is that a Leafs number, or is that where you think, like, do they have the 7th best chance to win the Stanley Cup?
This one's always tough because, again, the Leafs, so you never know. You never really know with it because it is a public team. Even outside of Ontario, there's a lot of Leaf fans outside of Ontario. There's a lot of Leaf fans internationally as well in a lot of the countries that we operate in. The fact of the matter to me, when I look at this, I think they're kind of in the same spot, but like the Vegas Golden Knights at the same price as the Toronto Maple Leafs doesn't really sit well with me. Maybe Vegas should be closer to Colorado. Maybe that's more of the issue. Maybe it's the Knights that are improperly, like, I think 18 to 20 to 1 for the Leafs is probably the right spot. When you look at the other teams that they're with.
But could Vegas be at like 14, something like that type of thing?
That's what exactly. I think Vegas probably should be at 14 instead of 18 with the Leafs. With the Leafs, to be, the Leafs are a stay away until training camp to see what that lineup looks like. Do they move a Mitch Marner? There's rumors that Joseph Woll is going to get extended. I think he's got the potential to be a very good goaltender. The guy can't stay healthy. There has to be some sort of other option out there. What is that option going to be? So the Marner thing's the big one. Do they run it back with this same core? Do they make a change? Do they trade Marner? Ask him to waive his no trade? Like, there's so much uncertainty with this Maple Leafs group that unless it was 30 to 1, you could not pay me to put money on this Leafs team with how much uncertainty is with that roster and with that core right now.
It is Nielson and Pat Gregoire, Pete Greggy with you here on the Lock Shop today. Huss is in transit on the way down to Vegas. He will join us again tomorrow. We'll obviously have a golf episode tomorrow, and we'll start to take a little bit of a. If you got into any NHL draft futures yet, I was going to wait till Huss kind of sets up shop down there. But is there anything you've jumped on already?
No, nothing yet. I was, again, it's a big turnaround. I was more focused on game 7 last night and diving in, sprinkling in some Patty on the pitch with Copa and
we'll get to that too.
I haven't had a time, but I will tell you, clicking on this Coolbet tab already, a lot of great options when it comes to betting. First overall is not going to be up there because we all know who that's going to be, but second overall, third, fourth overall. There's draft position odds for a lot of the top prospects as well. Head-to-heads.
I love the head-to-heads in a draft.
The head-to-heads. Oh, yeah. The head-to-head is great. And if there is something that you want to see, obviously Edmonton fans, I mean, you guys don't really pick until, the 60-something?
Yeah, late second round.
Pick. So So this is something to get you guys, invested. If there's something that will make you actually want to, flip on the first round of the draft, check things out there. But, and also for other folks that maybe aren't Oilers fans, if you're a fan of another team, let us know. If there's something that isn't up here that you think you'd like to bet on, by all means, go for it. We're pretty flexible when it comes to that stuff. But, looking at a lot of the sports books, and their other offerings, there's not too many that have the same amount of options that we have right now at Coolbet.
One that you guys might want to throw up, I'm just looking at, I don't know if I see it anywhere, just on player drop position, Iginla. You should try to get Iginla up there. I think they might move the needle a little bit here in Alberta.
Iginla was actually supposed to be added.
Okay.
I do believe we were on that because Huss was mentioning.
Oh, yeah, that's right. Weren't we texting about that yesterday?
Yeah, it looks like it hasn't been up, so I'll give the folks, give the fellas, Evdog and the boys a little bit of a nudge on getting Iginla out there because, that will certainly move the needle.
All right, let's talk. Let's get over to soccer here. I think it was it Jake or was it you that I think did Jake text us the Copa promo today or was that you? I mean, you know all about it, but
yes,
let's get into Jake, that for Canada. Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. So I'm just pulling this up here. And again, anytime you're looking for some sort of, a little bit of a sprinkle, a boost, any sort of incentive to bet, click that promotions tab. And we always got different things going on there. Right now with Copa, we've got our Copa hub. So you can see the Copa Cool offers. There's 4 different ones there. There's a free spins you get free spins for every goal scored on the certain bet of the match of the day. So 20 free spins for each of the match of the day. So each day there will be a different match. Looking here, prediction game. So it doesn't cost anything at all. Just you have to guess each match of the day, predict scores, whatever the questions may be. It might be a goal score. The quiz is done each and every day. And then, of course, the one that Jake was talking about, this is a Canadian-specific campaign. It's called the Canada's Goalapalooza. Basically, you get $5 back on every goal scored in that match if you bet $5 or more on Canada to win. So, $25. $25 to win outright. So you got to bet them to win the match. Before you do that, you click the Can 2024 on the tick box. And after the match goes final, you'll receive $5 for every goal scored, up to $25 in that match. So Canada plays Peru tonight. Bet Canada to win. Doesn't matter if they win or lose. You'll get $5 back for every goal they scored. So ideally, hey, Canada wins 3-0. Canada wins 3-2. You get those $5 for each one. So just easy opt-in. You're probably going to sprinkle a little bit on Canada to win anyways. So, and if you need more information, go to the promotions tab. It's there. It's also up on our social media. You can check that out there as well.
Duck Dad is in and says, I'm all over this Copa promo today. I really think Canada gets it done against Peru. I was talking with Lieutenant Eric this morning. We were looking at the number. He likes Canada against Peru today as well. Patty, do our Canadians pick up a win at Copa this afternoon?
I think if they're going to get it done this tournament, this is the game to have it. I know Peru is ranked higher than Chile. Chile's got a more roster lineup. Chile has won this tournament before. They're a team that I think is built a little more for these big tournaments. Peru, from a lot of the Canadian pundits, they're saying that Peru really just is a good matchup against Canada, and they match up really well. And you can see that by the betting odds right now, plus 121 on the 3-way money line for them to win the game. Peru plus 280. The draw is plus 218. I think Canadian fans would have been absolutely thrilled with a draw against Argentina. They were tied at half. I mean, you take away a couple of bad plays, and I think you could argue that Canada was right in that game. I don't think a draw really moves the needle for Canada here. I think you got to get a result with a win, and I think that they match really well with this team. I'm actually trying to see here. There's another. Where is? Just looking here. Where is it? Canada to win at least one half, minus 154. Really like that one. That's not the one I was looking for here. Just give me a second. Where is the draw no bet? I want to see what that price is. Draw no bet for Canada. Oh, wow. That's great. So that just goes to show you how much faith that the odds makers have that Canada is the better club and probably should come out here with a result. Draw no bet. So for Canada to win or the game to be a draw, it's minus 191 for Canada. That's unbettable unless you parlay it with another game.
Yeah.
But that goes to show you that it's more than likely that Canada will either win this game or there's a good chance that it ends up as a draw. So that kind of just shows to you where the mindset is for the sports book and Peru. Again, Coolbet operates in Peru. It's one of our other markets as well. So it's not like just a bunch of voyageurs are hammering Canada money line, moving the line. Looking at some props here. Jonathan David plus 265 to score. Jonathan David has not looked like himself in a very long time. Didn't score at all, didn't really do much in the World Cup. And in a lot of these friendlies here, I don't know what's going on with him. I can't, although I claim myself as patting on the pitch, I don't know enough to really break down and wonder what's going on with David. But Kyle Larin plus 380. This is a guy that in these big matches always comes up with those big goals. Go back to Ice Teka and that, iconic moment where he scores that big goal for Canada. He's that guy there. Alphonso Davies plus 525. I know with the position that he's playing now, he's not a striker. He's got a lot of two-way responsibilities on both sides of the ball with defensively and offensively. But the fact that you could argue that Alphonso Davies is the best player in this match and you can get him at plus 525 to score a goal, that's at least a sprinkle for me. And then there's a lot of other exclusives if we wanted to get to that.
Yeah, no, go ahead. What do you got? Let's lay them out.
Let's see. I think actually it looks like they just went offline. We'll have to get those back up. Yeah, there's a couple Canadian exclusive one. We'll get back up there. Click that tab a little later on. There's a few Canadian ones. I think it looks like they went.
Oh yeah, along the top it does say Canada specials, but yeah, they're not up right now. So
yeah, they're not up at the moment. Okay, well we'll get those back up. We did have some that were tied in with the Euro games, so maybe some of those ones went down, and the Canadian specific ones went down for some reason as well.
All right, a couple other things I want to get to. We'll obviously have a golf episode tomorrow. Huss and I were guessing the lines on the CFL yesterday before they came out. They have now come out, and kind of interesting. As of like this morning, the Elks BC Lions line was 6. I said yesterday I thought it would come in around 8.5. This line has moved 1.5 points in like the last 3 hours. It's now the BC Lions minus 7.5. Patty, you usually don't see a football line move 1.5 points in just a couple of hours, like 2 days out from the game. Do you? That's a pretty big move today in that game.
That's a really really big line movement. I don't know if it's people betting BC or a couple really big bets coming in on BC having to shift the line, or if other markets out there, other books are offering different numbers to try to protect there. There's a lot of things that go into setting these lines. But yeah, I kind of was surprised too when I saw that open up. I thought that you'd be able to get the Elks, a touchdown and some points. The fact that you're getting it now, if for them to keep it within a touchdown, I would be intrigued about it. BC looks so damn good.
They do.
They look really good. Montreal minus 3.5. I think that's probably, I thought for the most part, and again, you know more than me, when these lines opened, I thought for the most part they were all pretty spot on. The one that I kind of was surprised with was the Elks and the Lions. I don't know. Was there another line that maybe?
Well, yesterday when we went through these, For the last 3 games, Montreal, Toronto, Winnipeg, Calgary, and Hamilton, Ottawa, he basically thought all 3 of them were going to be close to a pick'em. I thought Montreal by about 1.5, 2, because Toronto's at home in that game. They're also unbeaten. That's 3-0 versus 2-0. And the Alouettes are 3.5 point favorites on the road. So, I mean, they've looked outstanding so far. That doesn't surprise me. A little bit higher than I thought. The Bombers -3 on the road in Calgary surprises me a bit because the Bombers are 0-3. Dalton Schoen now joins Kenny Lawler as far as guys are unavailable. Those are the best 2 offensive weapons that the Winnipeg Blue Bombers are bringing to the table right now. And the Calgary St. Peters have looked pretty good so far this season. So maybe, I guess, a desperation move from the Bombers here. Are they possibly going to fall to an 0-4 start? But for the Bombers to be a field goal favorite on the road against Calgary surprises me a little bit. And then, Ticats, Red Blacks, that one kind of came in where we thought it would be, close to a pick-em. The Red Blacks are -116 on the money line. The Ticats are -104. The spread right now sits at 1. That's exactly how I would have viewed that game. But the other 2 games do surprise me a little bit. I thought Calgary-Winnipeg would have been closer to a pick-em. That opened at 3. And like I said, Montreal-Alouette, Huss thought was closer to a pick-em. And I thought Montreal maybe up to about 2. But 3.5 on the Alouettes just goes to show how good the defending champs look right now, Patty.
Yeah, that's exactly it. And I think that, you could argue Toronto was, a lot of people thought, okay, Toronto's going to be good again, but what do they look like, without Swag Kelly? What is Cameron Dukes going to be able to do? And I think he's been a fine replacement. I think that again, maybe it's just that the Owls are the defending champs. This is probably the toughest challenge that the Argos have had to face this year. Sure, it's at home. I don't know. I thought 3 is probably the right number. I'd be thinking on getting on Toronto at 3.5. They can still lose the game, lose by a field goal. Your bet's still going to cash. With the Bombers, I think that this is probably the sports book saying, we can't possibly make the Bombers a favor. We can't possibly make this a pick 'em. I know they're so banged up. I know they haven't won, but it's the Bombers. Look how good they have been. They're a team that I think that and they're very public. Like, again, similar to what we talk about with the Oilers. A lot of people, out in Winnipeg land love using Coolbet, and I think if they saw their team close to a pick'em, they'd be hammering it, and we'd be seeing the live move here as well. I think it's one of those things where they got to win at some point. I know they're banged up; they got to get a win at some point. Maybe Calgary is just the team standing in their way of that victory.
Chris saying, guys, Argos 16-2 last year, Grey Cup champions. Are you talking about the Argos versus the Grey Cup champions? Because the Argos were 16-2. But the Montreal Alouettes are the defending Grey Cup champions. I see Jody over there assuming that the Elks are just going to suspend operations. Jody, as negative as you want to be today, I'm telling you, the Edmonton Elks aren't going to suspend operations right now. That's probably not going to be the case. What's funny about the Elks is that they are 0-3, but their 3 losses are against teams who are 7-0. Like, the 3 teams that the Elks have played are unbeaten so far on the year. They played Montreal, they played the Riders, and they played the Argos, who I think if you put BC into that mix, those are the 4 best teams in the Canadian Football League so far this season. So we'll see what they can do. And now they have to play the BC Lions, who are the other team. So the Elks are opening up the season with games against arguably the 4 best teams in the entire league.
Speaking of the best teams in the league, looking at the Grey Cup markets, and I don't know if you guys took a look at this yesterday, but the Owls are sitting at plus 285, the clear-cut favorites. BC not too far behind at plus 325. The Bombers, despite that 0-3 start, still sitting at 4-1, tied with the Argos at 4-1. Saskatchewan at 7-1. That would be one that I'd be maybe interested in.
That might be worth a sprinkle, buddy. Yep.
Sprinkling a little bit there. Ottawa 14-1, Calgary 18-1, Hamilton 28-1, with Edmonton at 28-1. Is the fact of the matter is that the Bombers, the book can't possibly put it any lower unless they lose another couple of games, because once they get healthy, and as I think Chris mentioned in the chat there, regular season just really lines up seeding, as we've seen so many times in the CFL. If you get hot at the right time and you just have that ticket to get to the dance, anything can really happen. And I think that's probably the case with Winnipeg. Maybe they don't have one of the better regular seasons that they've seen in the last little while here, but if they can allow guys to get rested up and get healthy, as long as they get into the playoffs, I think they're a team that obviously can be reckoned with. Look what they've done over the past few years.
Not a team that you would want to play in the playoffs ever with what they've done lately, right? So that's where we're at. We'll give you some official CFL picks a little bit later on in the week. Duck Dad over in the Nasty Chat says, my Euro play today, France to win and game total under 4.5. I don't see Poland getting anything done in this game, and France parking the bus when they get up to. This comes in at minus 150, which isn't great money, but it is money. So if you want to ride with Duck Dad today on a little
I think that game started
Euro
already,
action. I thought that game was that not the first game today?
I thought so. I think it was France, Poland.
That was at
Austria,
10 o'clock.
Right?
Yeah, that was at 10 o'clock. That's
it's actually going on right now. It's France.
Duck Dad, did you already play this? Are you just I'm assuming Duck Dad is just saying what he already played, because that game started at 10 o'clock. It's 1-1 right now.
Yeah, which is kind of surprising to see that's 1-1, but
Austria is leading the Netherlands 3-2. And you know what? Today when we were going through these matchups, when we were doing the Coolbet Hotline of the day, Lieutenant Eric was he said he didn't mind Austria in that matchup. And Austria's up 3-2 right now. So that's a nice one to see. And then starting in about an hour and 15 minutes, Denmark and Serbia, and then England and Slovenia also in action a little bit later on today at 1 o'clock our time here as well.
I like Denmark and England on a parlay for that, plus 229 for plus 229 for those two. So Denmark to win, England to win. England's minus 286. They haven't been great. This would be a game where I could see England really flexing their muscles and trying to prove to all the haters, which there are many, that this team is still good. The couple of the results that they saw earlier on in this tournament were just a fluke, and they are a team that needs to be taken seriously. I could see them doing that, and Denmark still possibly can advance in their group. So a win has to happen there. And then when you flip over to the Copa, obviously we already talked about Canada. Argentina's minus 208. Just looking here, you'd have to wait a little bit longer in the day for it to cash. But I'm not normally a proponent with this with soccer, because footy can always get a little bit squirrely here. But Argentina to beat Chile and England to beat Slovenia is even money when you parlay those together, minus 100. So I'm actually thinking I might do that one as well.
You're gonna be on everything.
I might.
Hey, I
think I'm gonna be on everything.
As hockey season, we'll give you our Golf Town keyword here in just a moment, everybody. So stick around for that. The $100,000 hole in one presented by Golf Town. We will go there in just a moment. But as I get set with hockey now in the books, I'll obviously be busy with CFL, flying out tomorrow to go do that game in Edmonton and in Calgary over the weekend. So another busy week with CFL games. But as I get ready to dive into the Blue Jays season, Patty, tell me what I need to know before I start to fully embrace whatever the hell is going on with that baseball team right now.
Don't. Is that?
You think I should just skip the rest of the season? Like, I'm coming in late this year. Should I just pretend this year doesn't exist?
Just be a baseball fan. Just enjoy America's pastime. Don't dive into the Blue Jays. They are a absolute dumpster fire right now. Their most promising prospect in many years is now, I should say many years, but in recent years, now just got dung for PEDs. It's a mess. It's an absolute mess. And I don't think anything's going to get better anytime soon. They close the gap, make it look like they are competitive. And then the same thing happens over and over again. I'm out. Like I am hardly, I probably will get sucked back in because, with once hockey's done, and as you mentioned, these 2 major soccer tournaments are going on. Like, I'm going to end up being sucked back in. But this team's going absolutely nowhere. And they probably end up trading Bo at some point. They probably make some moves. I would highly suggest going against it and just being a baseball fan. Because, betting on baseball, going to the ballpark, or having a bet on the afternoon, an afternoon game, there's not too many better things than that. But when it comes to the Blue Jays, man, it's disappointing. I haven't been to a game yet this year. I don't plan on going this year at all. When you have Jake on Friday, you should probably ask him, because I've completely checked out. He claims he's checked out, but I know he's still all in, and I know you will get a fired up answer out of it, because he's still passionate about it. He pretends he doesn't care, but he is still all in, and he'll have some fiery takes. That's for sure.
Hey, there's never disappoints. He never disappoints on that front. I just look at it. I just don't know how much longer you can go on with this group before you just go, okay, somebody else has got to make the decisions around here, man. Like, that's frustrating.
It really is. And it's disappointing, because when this group kind of came up together, it was so promising and they were so likable. And I feel bad because this group has now become so unlikable. It is such a weird turn of events, because, what this group has become, and I don't know if they were overhyped. I don't know. And it wasn't just Canadian baseball media that was hyping this group up. Like, you look down in Vegas, they're the odds-on favorite 2 years ago.
Yeah, that's true. You're right.
4 years before that, like, how many articles would you read that the Blue Jays have the number 1 prospect group coming up? And time again, you were led to believe that this was the group to get it done, and they haven't even got into, at least with like the Jose Bautista, Edwin Encarnacion like era. At least they won some rounds, they won some wild card. Like, they were put in a position where they let us down and weren't able to get over the hump. This group hasn't even gotten close to where that group was.
Yeah, it's they've done nothing with it. Like, they've had these good groups of prospects. They've had these 3, and they've just shot themselves in the foot time after time again. They look like they're going to get close, and then they just completely continue to blow it, which sucks. I'd like to see that team have some success with this group of guys, but it just doesn't look like it's going to happen. All right, so what are you good for golf tomorrow? Are we doing golf tomorrow, and then you're off to, where'd you say you're going to Iceland or whatever?
Yeah, off to Iceland. So good for golf tomorrow, which I'm excited for. It's the Rocket Mortgage Classic, which normally doesn't move the needle for a lot of folks. But this is a field where I feel like there is a lot of money that can be made. Some big names, but there's no Scotty, there's no Rory, there's no Xander. But when you look at some of the names, Tom Kim, Cam Young, Minwoo Lee, Akshay Bhatia, Taylor Pendrith has been awesome here. A little bit of a spoiler that he might be one of my picks. Finished T14 last year, and the year before that, T2. This course in Detroit is an absolute masher's course. Wide fairways. And if you can knock the piss out of the ball off the tee, you're probably going to have a lot of success here. So a lot of mashers off the tee will be on my card. So I'm looking forward to this. And the other, with Iceland. Yeah. So as mentioned, we operate all over the world for Coolbet, and the folks in Iceland, our guys there, are putting on a big poker golf event.
Nice.
And they've invited myself and one of the other guys out there to check things out, because it might be something that Coolbet Canada might be bringing to perhaps a certain province out your way, maybe in the years.
Very nice.
So
very nice.
We got to check it out before we try to implement something out like this. So here in Canada.
Oh, that sounds exciting. All right, buddy. Well, I'll talk to you tomorrow, man. Thanks for stepping in today.
Sounds good. We'll see you tomorrow.
There you go. That's Pat Gregoire. Find him on Twitter at @PGreggy. We got that keyword for the $100,000 hole-in-one with Golf Town. Of course, hockey season is now over, and it's super sad. But now you have more time to golf, and that's always good news as well. Unwind from the high energy of the playoffs and enjoy the physical and mental benefits of golf. Golf can be relaxing, until you're about 11 holes in and you realize you're not gonna break the total you're looking for. And then you're very frustrated for final 7 holes, but you just want to go out and do it again. That's why I absolutely love golf. All right, so visit our partners over at Golftown, golftown.com. Check out, every single day, they got so many deals over at Golftown on the website. I'll just bring it up right now. Quick little example here of what we got going on at Golftown today. You can swing on by and take advantage of some of these great deals over at Golftown. They are the presenting sponsor of the $100,000 hole-in-one, which will be happening next Wednesday out at the Ranch Golf and Country Club. Right now, they've got save up to 40% off on the swing into summer savings on a number of different top-brand irons, Callaway, Cleveland, Cobra, Srixon, Ping, Wilson, Mizuno. The list goes on and on. That sale ends June 26th. That's tomorrow. Save up to 40% off some of these top brand irons right now at Golftown. Check them out at golftown.com, golftown.ca, and take advantage of that. The key word to get in today, we have today, tomorrow, Thursday, Friday, Hello Hockey, and the Golf Show. Those are your final chances to qualify for the $100,000 hole-in-one. Today's keyword is longer, as in Bernard Longer, as in it's like Langer, longer. Langer. Langer. Text LANGER right now to 780-218-9999. 780-218-9999. All right, LANGER. Text that right now to 780-218-9999. And best of luck. One of you will get drawn. You go into a draw with 3 other people tomorrow, and one of you will end up winning a shot at $100,000. The guy who we qualified this morning has not swung a club in 15 years. Doesn't even own them. He's going to rent like a 5-iron and step up and take a swing at $100,000, and I hope he gets it. I hope he hits it. That would be absolutely phenomenal stuff. So you don't need to look. Your chances are better, I think, a little bit if you're a good golfer, but you don't have to be. Man, come take a swing at $100,000. You never know what will happen with EST and Golftown. All right, very much looking forward to 2 guys and a goalie today. Coming up here at high noon, we will get into your bigger and hotter headlines. We got trades, we got signings around the National Hockey League, and then we'll get to a hire it or fire it for GS Construction. A bunch of Oilers topics there. We're obviously going to be breaking down this bloody hockey game last night as the Oilers come up short in Game 7 against the Florida Panthers. Still got to be proud of that hockey team, I think. If you're listening on TuneIn or iHeart or at EdmontonSportsTalk.com, you can text us anytime at 780-218-9999. We'd love for you to chime in on 2 guys and a goalie. Myself, Cass, and Gage are ready to break it down for you. That's going to do it for the Lock Shop today. Best of luck tonight on all your bets, and we will talk to you tomorrow.